Oh.
Okay, so not to be overly comical, okay, but we're going to take a look at a different example that maybe is slightly less connected to the rubric. Mr. Riker, if you would, please, let's break this one down. Okay, before we take a look at this essay, okay, one more second here. Okay, our first standard that we're going to be focusing on is the thesis statement. As you guys were told in the last one, it has three key components. First, it states the topic, then it clearly states a position, and finally it introduces the key arguments in the order in which they appear. All right, so we've talked about that, we discussed that. Okay, in the first clip, let's see how this paper
Show them the
works.
essay forecast part too.
Okay, yes, very good. Okay, then we talked about the essay forecast, which should be a brief overview or summary of the text with a focus on the topic or the thesis. Okay?
Should it come before the thesis or after?
Absolutely, it should come before. Okay, we want it before because once again, it is setting up your thesis. All right, so here's another example, once again, dealing with Macbeth, okay, from a student. All right, so Mr. Riker is highlighting what he believes to be the essay forecast. Let's see what it says. How Macbeth is destroyed by evil is human nature. What I mean by that is when the witches tell him his prophecy of being king, he does it his own way, or a way in which he thinks is right. He does it his own way because the witches don't tell him how to become king. After Duncan's death, Macbeth is now in a downward spiral from sane to insane. In a way, Lady Macbeth wears the pants of the family. Lady Macbeth pushes Macbeth to do things, and when he does those things, she has to clean it up. Duncan's murder. Evil has totally destroyed Macbeth, you could say. After all the killings and all the other murders, he wasn't the brightest tool in the shed, due to his mental problems. Okay, so Mr. Riker, as I read this one, okay, I am confused. Okay, for a lot of different reasons.
Me too.
Okay, first of all, let's look at the forecast, which I believe you highlighted in yellow. Okay, what confuses you about this particular passage?
Well, as I think about what we said in the rubric, that the essay forecast needs to summarize the plot of the story, I'm not seeing that here. It says Macbeth is destroyed by evil as human nature. There's no summary of plot. I don't even know what this story is about. There's nothing about Macbeth wanting to become king. There's nothing about the fact that he murders people throughout the play. I feel like the writer in this essay tried to get topics in too early.
I wouldn't even know what Macbeth was if I were an outsider reading this. I don't know it's a play, I don't know who the author is, I don't know what the setting is.
Exactly, and if this author, if this student had put Macbeth by Shakespeare, would that have helped your understanding?
Oh, absolutely. That
Mine
at least
too.
given me a time period, it would give me, I have a little bit of familiarity with Shakespeare, there are some connections I could be making.
So the other problem I have with this essay forecast is the writer seems to have a lot of different topics going on at once. Evil is human nature. Macbeth's downward spiral from sane to insane.
Does it his
Those
own
don't
way.
connect to me. And then also I read this part about Lady Macbeth. Lady Macbeth seems to be wear the pants in the family. I can't tell, is this essay going to be about sane and insane? Is this essay going to be about evil and human nature? Is this essay going to be about Lady Macbeth is more of a man than Macbeth? It could be any of those, Mr. Gonzalez.
Absolutely. Okay, now when we talked earlier, we talked about the thesis statement being toward the end, if not the last sentence or last couple sentences of your intro paragraph. Okay, so you highlighted these last sentences as an example of that. Evil has totally destroyed Macbeth. You could say, after all the killings and all the other murders, he wasn't the brightest tool in the shed, due to his mental problems. Time out. Okay, no pun intended. This sounds a little awkward, but due to his mental problems really throws me for a twist. All right, when I'm looking here, I'm talking about evil as a result of human nature, Lady Macbeth wearing the pants of the family, okay, these murders and this, that, and the other. Never once is mental problem mentioned. And yet, this is the key argument of his thesis statement?
I do notice that evil is mentioned in the essay forecast and in the thesis statement, but in a different way. Evil has totally destroyed Macbeth, kind of connects to this, but not so clearly that I would say it's a good thesis statement.
So when we look at this, guys, and we're going to get an opportunity to show you what type of suggestions we would give to help remedy some of the issues that we see here. Obviously, the essay forecast needs to be more focused. We need to have a clear overview of where the author is going to take us. The writer is going to take us in this paper that narrows it down to this thesis statement. Okay, when they're able to do that, I think their thesis statement becomes more concrete and they'll be able to have a clear focus.